back to the channel today, guys, and today marks the beginning of our Spy Classroom catch-up arc. Some of you have been hotly anticipating the return, and today it is here. I have the entire week planned out for videos today, and I will say with certainty that we will be caught up with Spy Classroom fully by the end of this week. Now, that being said, I'm liking Spy Classroom. I'm liking it. I see a lot of potential as I'm watching the episodes. I do. But at least for right now, I feel... How do I put this? I feel like Spy Classroom is just a worse version of Lycurus Recoil. Right now, at least. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. So, that's just my opinion right now. It just feels like a worse version. Now, I think episode 3 is going to be the make or break episode for the show. Because we're finally getting into our mission. We finally get information about our mission today. And episode 3 looks like it's going to be the execution of the mission. And I feel like this is going to be a very important episode for the show. That's going to give people the idea of what the show is really about. Because we get the premise, obviously. We know what it's about, but like, what's the heart of the show? You know? That's what episode 3 is going to figure out as we do our mission. And I really want to see that before I can really make a firm opinion on Spy Classroom. But I am liking it so far. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into it and talk about Spy Classroom episode 2 today, because there's a pretty decent amount to talk about. So our episode begins today like any good show would begin, with nudity and attempted assault. As we transition back to the words that Klaus declared to all of them. Defeat me. Make me say I surrender. You can use whatever methods you like. Come up with a plan as a group and take me down by the end of the month. And most of them all seem confused, but Greta picks up on it and says, I see. This will be a simulation of actual combat conditions. We could dig up dirt, physically restrain him, take his friends or loved ones hostage. In the world of espionage, spies are often asked to manipulate and cajole their targets. I suspect that's what this training's about. As Monica says, that's all well and good, but this Klaus guy, as she gets interrupted by Siblia, who says he thinks we're a fucking joke. Like he can walk all over us just because we're washouts. As Thea says, well, I say we teach him a lesson and show him how strong we are. As we hear, let's all go attack him together. And I'm thinking, what could possibly go wrong? Besides everything, as Klaus destroys them and says, are there any more complaints about my lesson plan, ladies? As he says, next time, make sure to actually use your heads. And it's here we transition to the repeated attempts to take Klaus down. We turn into Assassination Classroom all of a sudden. And they all end spectacularly bad. None are working. And as we transition to our opening scene again of them attacking him in the shower, Lily fumbles and slips on soap like, what is this goofiness? No, you had one job, Lily. You had one job. Ah, you ruined it. As Klaus tells them, magnificent. By my count, that makes 13 attempts. I applaud your tenacity. He's just standing there slung out in front of all of them, because why not? Just dick hanging, swinging for the world to see. As he tells them, when you attack someone, you need to be as sharp as a wind racing through a valley. As they just tell him flat out, yo, put a towel on, my guy. But Klaus is just like, there's no need. A first-rate spy thinks nothing of being seen in the nude, dick slinging around everywhere. I'm heading out. I'll return tonight. When I do, I expect you to launch another attack. And it's here we transition to the girls trying to figure out what to do about the Klaus situation. And it's really nothing of importance, I gotta be honest. That's why we're not going to delve too much into that part of the video. But what is important is the fact that they're getting listened in on. Their conversations are. And I find that very curious. Why would that be the case? You know, why would they be getting listened in on? Is this the enemy? Is this from their side? I don't know just yet. but I find it very interesting. And I'd love to know what that's about. But it's here we transition to a pretty interesting scene, actually, as we follow Klaus to where he was going, as we hear, there's new information regarding your impossible mission. And it's here we see Klaus has met up with this one mysterious man, as the man asks him, how are the girls holding up? I understand you've been having a hard time teaching them. As Klaus says, nothing gets past you, huh? Does it see? I guess you're not in charge of the Cabinet's office's Foreign Intelligence Office for nothing. As C tells him, you're a good spy, Klaus, but your stubbornness causes headaches for the people around you. You need to make sure you're doing everything you can to assuage the girls' fears. As Klaus says, you don't need to tell me that, but C tells him, I think I do. As he says, I used to be able to count on your team to get through to you, but they're gone now. And it's here we get reminded yet again that Klaus clearly has some past baggage he has to deal with. And it's here we transition to Klaus driving as he's reminiscing about his past conversation as we hear, how about this, idiot pupil? If you make it back alive, I've got a new title for you. How's the greatest spy in the world sound to you? I'd say you will have earned it. As Klaus answers with, magnificent. But then he asks him, so you don't want to flee, huh? As Klaus says, not in the slightest. You took me in when I was an orphan and raised me to be a spy. And I can never thank the boss enough for hiring me. It would be no exaggeration for me to say that I love each and every member or person on this team. As we see his messy canvas again. I'm no expert on families. But that's what I think of you all as. And nothing brings me more satisfaction than risking my life on behalf of my family. As I assume his master tells him, when the hell did you get so eloquent, Bonfire? And I like this scene actually because it gives us a really clear idea about Klaus's priorities and where he is as a character. You know, they just said he was an orphan. He didn't have anything in his life and he was brought into this world. So he considers everyone his family there. And that he would do anything to protect his family. But later in our episode, we're going to see how this desire of his, this innate desire to protect the people he cares about, is going to end up being a shackle to him, in a way. And it's here as we transition to Klaus coming home, the girls try another trap on him, and it fails miserably, as you would expect, as Klaus says, I see everyone's here. Perfect. There's something I want to talk to you all about regarding the mission. As he says, first of all, Lamplight isn't the first team to attempt this impossible mission. There was another before us, and that team was called Inferno. As Thea says, I know that name. They're the best spy team in the Din Republic, right? They're what every team in the nation aspires to be. Wanting to join Inferno was the reason I became a spy to begin with. As Klaus says, unfortunately, Inferno is gone. As she asks him how he knows that, and he tells her, because only one person on that team survived. And he's standing right in front of you. And it's here Klaus starts explaining exactly what happened to his old team. And I have some thoughts on this. But we'll talk about that in a sec, as Klaus says. 1 year ago, I, codenamed Bonfire, split off from the group and went on a solo op per my mentor Gudo's orders. While I was gone, the rest of Inferno's members took on an impossible mission. None of them made it back alive. And I gotta tell you guys immediately, I'm very suspicious of his mentor already. What a coincidence, huh? That he had Klaus go do a solo mission as his team was assigned an impossible mission, and they all died. How convenient, you know? I'm already suspecting his mentor of being fishy. That is extremely fishy what happened, the circumstances. And it's here Klaus tells them all, Inferno is like a family to me. I wanted us to change the world, awash in pain, together. But now, that can never happen. As Klaus tells them, I'm sorry for frightening you. As your instructor, I make no excuses for my ineptitude. That said, I had a very good reason for choosing the 7 of you. It's up to you to decide. if you're coming on the impossible mission or not. If you wish to flee, that right is yours. For me, this mission is one of personal revenge. It's an important mission, and the fate of our nation hangs in the balance. But that isn't reason enough for the 7 of you to risk your lives. But they all unanimously agree that they want to do it. As Lily tells him, we had our suspicions you were a member of Inferno, but it hits kind of different hearing you say it. As they say, you see, we spent this afternoon investigating Heat Haze Palace's old residence. Still a weird name, by the way. We found traces from a couple of people of all sorts of ages and genders. Then, after subtly asking around, we attained some testimonies that supported our hypothesis. As Lily tells him, we figured the people that lived here used to be really important to you. You probably hit rock bottom when you lost the people you cared about. Well, we were at rock bottom too. We're not about to abandon a fellow bottom dweller. Like, gee, thanks girls. We're in the same hole here, so let's climb out of it together. And it's here we see that Klaus is pretty happy with this news because they're all starting to come together as a team, finally. And it's here, 11 minutes into our video. Jeez, man. We finally get into the crux of our episode as we hear when the time came, Teach and the rest of us headed to where the impossible mission was going to take place. The Galgad Empire. As Klaus tells them, we're going to split up and infiltrate Galgad as 2 separate groups. As team leader, Lily, you're going to be spearheading one of the groups, while I lead the other one, as we see that they've split off with each other. And as we see everyone doing their roles and assignments in the mission, we see Klaus and Lily meeting up. As Klaus says, from here on out, we'll be operating separately. Any last thing you want to say to me? As Lily tells him, I'll save them for the next time we see each other. As Klaus tells her, until this is over, I'm going to avoid making contact with anyone besides the intel squad. And he leaves. And it's here the mission officially begins. And it's here we start going way more in detail about exactly what the mission is. As Lily says, our job is to steal a sample from a lab on the Imperial capital's outskirts. As Monica says, yeah, that sounds like an impossible mission, alright. As Siblia says, the ND laboratory, huh? Officially, the lab belongs to a pharmaceutical company. But in truth, the Imperial Army secretly uses it to conduct cutting-edge weapons research. As we transition to Greta and Thea, and Greta says, naturally, security there is tight. Everything is going to hinge on how much intel we can gather ahead of time. The 2 of us on the intel squad will start by gathering information, and I feel real bad for this guy right here. He's getting played. And over on the specialist squads, we'll use our special talents to support the other squads, yo. As we see they're communicating via Bird, or should I say via Mr. Bernard. As we see Lily gets a letter from Bernard that says, it says the intel squads use their data to identify a key player. And they want the operations squad, which is us, to make contact. As Monica says, alright, that sounds cool. So I'm gonna go do my own thing now, okay? It'll be more efficient. This way, I'll be able to help the entire team out. As she dips out and Siblia says the funniest line of the episode to me. I swear, she thinks she's better than us just cause she's better than us. How dare she? As Lily tells Siblia, don't worry. We trained our butts off for this. Remember? We've got this. And it's here as we transition to our next scene, we see that Siblia was easily able to pickpocket their target. As Siblia says, that guy was a drug dealer. We should find some of the lab stuff on the client list in here. But it's here they suddenly get stopped by 2 officers for some weird reason. As they tell them, sorry, but this is a prime area for pickpockets. I'm gonna have to check your bags, just in case. And as the both of them are getting patted down, I gotta be honest, I'm thinking to myself like, this is really random. This is kind of harassment in a little bit. You're just patting down these 2 women in the street, huh? Okay. As the cops eventually say, alright, they're both clean. Thank you so much for cooperating. And as they're walking away, Lily says, Siblia, where'd you hide the wallet? But she tells her, I didn't. Someone stole my stolen wallet. There's only one dude I know who could pull off a stunt like that. And it's here we see that C is there from previously in our episode, the cabinet offices guy, and he apparently stole the wallet back. And I don't know why. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't get why here. Someone let me know down below, as long as it's not a spoiler. I don't understand why. But it's here we transition to Greta, who I would argue is the second in command on the team so far, it feels like. As she says, as things stand, I worry that some of us won't last until the main operation. And I guess that does make sense, because when you think about it, this is their first, actual real mission. So none of them are really used to long stakeouts, long intel gathering missions where you have to spend days on end doing something. So it makes sense that they'd all be really tired after doing all this for a bit. And it's here we actually transition to Greta meeting up with Klaus, as Klaus shows her all the high-level Imperial classified information that he's gathered. As he tells her, I'm impressed with how much intel you girls have collected as well. I see we have confirmation that the sample hasn't been moved from the ND laboratory. But it's here Greta says, I had something else I came here to talk to you about. As she says, our leader Lily was asking about us possibly holding a party before the operation. And I'm completely with Klaus here as he says, my ears must be failing me. Did you just say she wants to throw a party? As Greta says, according to her message, she wants us all to gather and share a meal together. As Klaus is just like, she knows we're on a mission in hostile territory, right? As Greta says, I believe she's worried about the team's fatigue levels, and I share her concerns. And it's here Klaus says, well, I guess this is your first real mission after all. As he says, I'll make a reservation at a trustworthy restaurant. As he tells them, fine, you go ahead and have the party. Just make sure you don't get tailed. But Greta says, if it's only us, then there's a faint possibility that something could go wrong. But if you joined us, the problem would be solved. We wouldn't be in any danger. And it's here as we transition to the party they're having. I kind of agree with Klaus. I get it, it's their first mission and they're tired. But this is the most out there thing to do right now. You're going to draw so much suspicion to yourself doing this. It seems so extra. And it's here we transition to Klaus sitting on the roof like a little loner as he says, if I keep watch from here, everything should be fine. As he thinks to himself, still though, I'm not nearly as invincible as they think I am. Against him, I've never once won. But it's here we do see he eventually goes into the restaurant. And what a sorry sight he finds. As he says, how are you all not more stressed? But Siblia answers him and says, we're stressed as hell. How could we not be scared? We've been shaking in our boots since the minute we left Din. As Klaus asks her, then how are you guys so calm? As she responds, because you said you'd come today. That's how. That's why we figured we'd be fine. Your strength is the one thing we believe in. As she literally falls asleep right there. But it's here we get a really interesting flashback with Klaus as we hear, this is important, Klaus. When someone lets you watch them sleep, it's a sign of how much they trust you. So, if anyone lets you see them like that, make sure you do whatever it takes to protect them. As Klaus says, I feel like my resolve is firmer now. And I gotta ask, guys, is this gonna turn into a harem? I really don't want that in this show, to be honest. But I'm already getting vibes that's going to turn into that. And I don't like that idea if that's the case. Don't spoil me in the comments, but I really hope that's not the case. But it's here we transition to the start of our mission as we hear, there it is, the ND laboratory. That's where they're hiding the sample that we need to steal back for our mission. And as we see Klaus getting ready to infiltrate the place, he remembers back on his conversation with C, as he says, as you remember, Klaus, there is a post-war international treaty banning the use of biological weapons. However, it doesn't ban their development. At least that's how the imbeciles in our army chose to interpret it. After they went ahead and continued their research, a Galgad spy stole one of their samples, the morons. At this rate, The casualty count could well reach into the millions. I need you and the girls to retrieve that bioweapon. It's a killer virus, and its name is Abyss Doll. Little bit of a goofy name, I gotta be honest. And our episode ends before they infiltrate the facility. And man, I really didn't want this video to be super long, but I wanted to keep all the character stuff in the beginning of the episode because I feel like that's going to be important, and is important for the show, to really show how they came together as a team for this. But man, the episode ended up being long. But as I said, I need to see episode 3 before I can really make an opinion, because these first 2 episodes were all set up. So episode 3 needs to kill it. It needs to kill it. And I think it will be pretty good, but only time will tell. So let me know what you guys thought of this episode down below. You guys have had a couple weeks to think about it, so I want to hear good opinions on it, baby. Let me know down below. But until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day. I'll see you guys next time.